Thank you for tuning in. We're going to do a natural stone engraving here on our live stream. Thank you for everybody who's watching and everybody at home. I hope you guys learned something. First of all, with sand carving, we always start out with a black and white artwork. So something like an example like this right here, we have a vectorized artwork file that we've printed on an inkjet film print. You'll notice how opaque that print is. We don't want any kind of any holes in it. We want to make sure that you have a nice black, dark print so that we can get a good photo mask from it. From there, we're going to expose and wash out. But I have one here that I've already done. It's a Chinese symbol here that's love. And yes, David Abelman, that is for you. But with a normal SR3000, we don't have enough self-tackiness to put it on a rock and make sure that it's going to be blasted okay. So what I'm going to do is actually add a little bit more adhesive to this just to get it really sticky. I want it very tacky because I want a good bond between the photo mask and the rock here. So first thing I'm going to do is remove my cover paper, and I'm going to take a little bit of our brush on RZ2 adhesive. Okay, you can find this at raises.com/store. Very inexpensive, and I'm going to use just a little dab. I mean, and when I say little dab, I mean a little dab. Literally that amount will do you. Okay? So I'm just going to take that now, spread it across my photo mask. You'll see that it covered the whole photo mask. Okay? And it has like a milky white look to it. Okay? Now normally we would let this air dry, but for demonstration purposes, I'm just going to hit it with a little hair dryer here to speed up the process. You'll notice that it turns from white to clear. And that's how you know that you have a good stickiness or adhesive tackiness to it. Okay, and then it's ready to apply. I can already tell it's tacky. It's not coming off my finger. So with rocks, any normal rock that you're going to get at your, your natural builder supply, you've got something like this. This is just a standard river rock, okay? And it's always going to be cold no matter what, okay? So what I'm going to do is, in order to really get that adhesive extra tacky, I'm going to heat up that rock just a little bit, okay? So I have just here a regular plumber's torch. Turn it on here. And really warm up that rock. Now if you guys want, we're also doing creme brulee after, so same torch. Anybody like creme brulee? Are you a creme brulee guy, Jess?
Not really.
No? All right. Well, I am. I love it. It's good stuff. What about you, Amy? No? All right. Anybody at home? Creme brulee? I'm ready. So I've got a good amount of heat here. It's hot to the touch, but not so hot that it's going to burn me. Now, I'm going to take that photo mask, and I'm going to take a small corner here. You guys see that up there? And I'm just going to pinch that small corner onto itself. Now what that's going to do is allow me to release this mask from the carrier easily. Now that I have that film, I want you to watch how it forms over this rock instantly. You can see it pull itself in to all the areas of that rock. Okay, I'm just going to kind of guide it along, press down all the areas of the photo mask, if you guys can see that there at home. And everybody out there on the screens, press down that photo mask. Now the ripples in the blue photo mask I'm not worried about. It's all of the clear areas that I want to make sure have a good contact against that rock, okay? This film is pressure sensitive, so the more pressure I put down on the film, the greater the bond is going to be between the film and the rock. You guys see that over there? You guys see that? All right. One other step here. I'm going to take my wire wheel brush, and what this is a tool to perforate that thin, clear membrane, and it's going to get all the air out of that, that's underneath that membrane. And what that's going to do when we get in the blasters, make sure there's no trapped air that can come up and lift that masking up. So I'm just going to take my wire wheel roller here. Let's give it a quick once over. And now we're going to tape. Now normally you can tape with a painter's tape that you can get at Home Depot or Lowe's. It's a little bit expensive, but it's not. It has a nice low tack to it, but it's not sticky enough or blast proof enough to do what we're going to do in the cabinet today, because we want to get a nice deep etch on this rock. So what I'm going to do is use our blasting tape. This is something that we carry on raisethis.com. Okay. I'm just going to throw 4 pieces around, just to cover all the areas I don't want blasted, because no matter what, sand is going to hit part of the rock that I don't want blasted. So just want to throw tape around every area that's going to stay without contact. Does anybody have any questions? Any questions? Any questions? No, nothing. I must be a pretty good teacher then, right? That's right. All right. I'll take that. $2 to that man. You got one. Let me hear it.
What are you going to use? What grit are you going to use on the blast?
That's a great question. Is it Nick? I'm going to be using 150 grit, which is the same grit I'd be using with glass. Now, if I was doing rocks only, Nick, I could do a 120 grit, but I wouldn't want to blast glass with a 120 grit. So 150 is good for glass, it's good for crystal, and it's also good for my rock. It'll just take a little bit longer, but that's a great question. All right, I'm going to go ahead and head over to the blaster. Now, what I'm going to be using here is our 2034 VXA. This is a self-reclaim adjustable system. So what that means is you don't have to be a midget to use it. No, this is going to adjust to your height. So if you have several people in your shop that use different or have different sizes, different heights, you can adjust the cabinet to what they are, okay? Just ergonomically, you don't have to bend over the whole time. Not only that, but this system recycles the sand automatically. So it pulls all the dust to the back while keeping all of your good sand back into the system to be able to be reload into your pressure pot. So you don't have to waste abrasive. You're going to be constantly able to use abrasive. Now, if we could throw that up on the screens, please. I'm going to go ahead and jump in here. Again, we're using aluminum oxide, 150 grit. We're using about 40 pounds of pressure. Now I'm just going to step on my foot pedal here. Remove that membrane. You can see the membrane disappearing. And now we're etching. Can you guys see that there? How about that? A little bit better? Now, one thing I want you guys to notice is I'm not wearing any gloves inside the cabinet. The sand really isn't going to hurt you unless you hold it onto your hand for several seconds. And what you're actually feeling is the heat created by the friction of that sand. The same thing that deteriorates the mask. So you can see the mask kind of turning a dark color. What that is the mask absorbing the heat from the sand and friction. Now we're starting to get some depth.
Sorry, I'm gonna fix your camera.
You're
good,
quite all
good,
right.
Good. Kind of got your hand in the way there. There we go. Perfect.
If you guys have any questions, feel free to shout them out. I want to get some good depth on this piece because, you know, we're blasting into a rock, and the first thing that somebody wants to do when they see an engraved rock is they're going to want to put their hand in it, put their fingers on it, touch it, just to see the depth, but also feel the depth. Just spend a couple more minutes here getting that depth we want. Now, do you guys have any questions out there? Go ahead and shout them out. If you guys have any questions online, live streaming, you can go ahead and type it in the chat and we'll respond with the answer.
Did you say what pressure you're blasting at?
Mm-hmm. All right, I think we're good. Just gonna clap my hands. All right. So what I have here is a sandblasted rock before we're gonna paint, okay? And you can see the depth there, okay? And that was 2 minutes in the sandblaster, okay? So it doesn't take a long time. We're gonna adjust our pressure up to make sure that we get the best coverage over it. There you go. And now it's time to paint, okay? Now there's a few different types of paint that we could use. You can use a Krylon paint, a Molotow paint, but enamel-based paint is what you want to use. What we have here is a stone tone monument paint, also known as lithochrome, and it's especially good for monument painting. Black and white are the colors that are most popular for that. Same paint you use on headstones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it over to our little paint booth here and give it a quick spray down, and it'll give that good contrast between the rock and the paint. Here's that lithochrome. Now first what I want to do is remove any of the excess abrasive on it just by giving it a quick blow down or with an air gun just to get rid of that grit inside there. I don't want it to mix with my paint. Now the key to painting is short spurts, not long drawn out spurts. So I'd want to first test my paint. I'm going to get a very light coat at each angle, okay? So you guys can see that there. Very light coats. Can you see that, Les? Very light coat. But when I do all 4 sides, it's going to be a nice thick application of the paint without filling it. So I have coverage on each side. I've got a nice black dark paint color, and my whole engraved area is painted. You guys see that there? Okay. The one thing I want you to notice is that there's no running paint here. So if I were to turn this upside down, there's no paint that's going to drip down on the ground. The advantage of that is it's not going to peel up when I remove my photo mask, but it's also not going to fill that engraved area up so much that it doesn't look engraved anymore. So you want to make sure that when you're painting, you always want to have a clean surface and it's not going to drip off, okay? So the last step here is just hit it with a little bit of air dry. That's all right. And now it's cleaning. Just going to peel that tape up. Now notice I'm holding it upside down. What that does for me is keeps all that abrasive out of that paint, and just in case it's still a little bit wet. And you'll see that photo mask begin to come up. Now remember, we've applied a little bit extra glue, so it's going to be a little bit more stubborn than usual, but still should peel up fairly easily.